What's up, good fighters? Coming to you live with a whole lot of connection, intention, and purpose. Dr. Nash Stopko and Dr. Gates Mayer. This is the Good Fighters podcast, and we are super excited to have today Dr. Jeremy Brook. Been looking forward to this one probably since season one. I've had this one kind of in my on my vision board for somebody that I really wanted to get on here. Somebody that's been instrumental for me as a chiropractor and just as a man. So really excited to bring Dr. Jeremy Brook in today. Dr. Jeremy, how you doing?
Super good from ultra contracted Los Angeles.
I've got a lot of good nicknames. I've heard some good nicknames for California, and I hope they're not offensive to you, but I think they're kind of funny.
They're probably appropriate. Let's hear
it. Chinafornia is a pretty good one that I've heard recently. That's I think that one might become more and more appropriate as the years go on. Now I am a bit of a tinfoil hat guy, I guess, is the conspiracy realm goes. So,
right. I'm wearing it.
Right on. So
we got it on today.
Yeah.
I know that you're in downtown LA, yeah?
No, I'm actually closer to the beach. So I'm on the west side, West Los Angeles. The west side's the best side. So I'm about like 12 minutes from the beach. I used to be like a barefoot walk to the sand. Now I'm a 12-minute, drive.
Right on.
Maybe a little less.
So I hope you don't mind, because I mean, Dr. Gates and I, Gates being from Michigan and Iowa, obviously the pulse in our communities are a little bit different than where you're from.
Sure.
And definitely something we wanted to, I guess I didn't intend on opening up with this, but this is kind of where the conversation's already leading a little bit. How has that been for you as a vitalistic, holistic, principled chiropractor practicing in LA?
Yeah. I've said this before. I kind of feel like I'm behind enemy lines. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I'm in Berlin, 1937 or something. Hopefully, it's more like Berlin, 1945, where the end of the war is coming. But I feel like Los Angeles is tricky. We are as a city. We love the masks. We love the mandates. People are diehard blue Democrats. And that seems to be if you're a Democrat, that's the party that you align with. Then you got to go along with the whole package, the whole lockdown package. So, I'm Jewish. And my grandparents on my mom's side, they're in the Holocaust, and my grandma lost her parents, two brothers, and other, ton of other family members. So I've kind of been of the mindset, I'm letting it out right now by telling you kind of like my headspace, but I kind of kept my head down. It's only been fairly recently that I've become a little bit more on the vocal end, because now there's a bigger movement of people waking up. But I was concerned that things would turn into what's happening in places like Melbourne, Australia, or even now in Germany and Austria. So I kind of kept it a little bit like underground, undercover, kept my cards close to the chest. But for me and my wife, this is our game. This is our life. We live in this model of epigenetics. So we've had to make sure that our mindset and our head space is of the utmost positive direction. And as far as like the community that we've served, we're just very slowly taking care of people, like trying to wake them up. And, I just took care of somebody right now. She got jab number 3, and she's like, it's crazy. She's like, my whole left arm feels weak, and I got a big, giant, swollen lymph node under my armpit. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then she's got 3 children, and one of them had a significant reaction, a heart, heart side effect after his second shot. And I'm like, yo, you've heard about this whole myocarditis situation. He's like, yeah, that's why I went to the cardiologist. But it's a challenge to try to penetrate through and even when people have been injured, and there's this spell. I don't want to say like they drink the Kool-Aid. No, it's like this spell that places like Los Angeles are under. And I don't, obviously I don't have a card, and I'm not going into places where they go, show me your fucking papers. I'm just going to go, I'll choose my business elsewhere, because, I don't subscribe to totalitarian, oppressive instructions. We're not in China, we're in the United States of America. And I think places like Los Angeles, maybe even New York, may be some of the tightest spots in the United States. So yeah, challenging, but I got a 2-year-old son and a wife, and we're living it. We're living as great as we can live it in this type of situation. But I'll be honest, it's a challenge. I wouldn't love to have this situation like overlaying my daily living. And yeah, we're all under a state of chronic stress if you're in Los Angeles. But that's what we're built for, and that's what chiropractic's built for. And we're a bunch of warriors. I wish I could be a little bit more vocal, but I'm keeping it a little bit close, because there's a lot of people running around Los Angeles with pitchforks and torches, trying to flush people like us out.
And a lot came to mind with that, and I just want to say thank you for standing up, and even just maintaining the posture that you've held there in your position anyway, because that's not easy to begin with.
Thank you. Maybe for this part of our conversation, you can like blur my face and change my voice like a CIA or FBI kind of informant.
Yeah, you'll be under witness protection. Don't worry, we won't release this information. We know you got a family out there, and I want to take this lightly, but I don't believe that that's beyond some of the tactics that may be used at some point, especially looking at, like you mentioned, what's going on in Australia and Germany, that history does repeat itself, and this is nothing new, some of these tactics that are getting used. And I think we live in a beautiful time where we've got a lot of things at our disposal, but at the same time, that is a catch-22 where a lot of these devices, it's constantly, for a lot of people, this is they're basically downloading this software into their brain that's programming them to think and act certain ways to really not just rile them up, but get them primed to have these expectations and certain reactions that is essentially whoever is uploading that information media source wise that they kind of want to have happen.
Well, we see it. We know exactly what they're up to.
For sure. So that being said, on the Good Fighters podcast, we like to talk about the good fight a lot.
Yep.
And being chiropractors, Dr. Gates and I have had this conversation before, that we truly believe that this is actually, what God intended chiropractic to really, this is really what we are meant to be here for. And this is all a part of the plan, because without us and without people like yourself and people in our community that need this message, a lot would be lost. And we wouldn't have this ability to stand up for people who don't have this voice of reason and being in positions of influence where we can really let people know that, there's more to life than just this mechanical, linear, analytical, right-sided brain mentality, right? And with your practice, what's something that you've been, what's a process that you really go through to help people kind of break through or kind of crack that eggshell for them to just like think a little bit differently with how they're approaching not just health and their lifestyle, but overall just their perspective and their reality?
Yeah. It's going to be like a threefold approach that's going to integrate with one another. So there'll be like an energetic component, a functional component, and a structural component. And the energetic component, again, it's like overlaying. You just kind of like a matrix, just like a filter. The first part would be the energetic component, mindset, headspace, your vision, your mission, your passion, and your purpose. So the chiropractor has to come to the table already elevated in that higher vibrational, more connected, more aligned, more energized state of being. And then from there, well, now we'll talk about, let's say, the structural aspect, which is now your physical location. So if you create a space, create an environment, you create an atmosphere where your office is, or center or studio, already is a high vibrational, it's already set to a high vibrational state. Then when a person interacts with the space without even having like a face-to-face conversation with you yet, or you laying their hands on them, they're already elevated. They're already popping. So again, for me, it's like when somebody drives by my office, again, I love it. People go, I've been driving by your space for either months or years. And then they say, I just had to come in and see what the heck was going on the inside, because I got the big Spinechecker logo right on front, like a projecting high vibrancy. Yeah. And then they walk in and then they go, whoa, the music's vibing, the smells are vibing, the artwork is popping. And then, I mean, it's like an art gallery in here. And then they interact with your staff, and then they interact with how you move people through your space. Even just like the phone call, the scheduling, come back, have a seat in the consultation chair. And then you have a brilliant consultation. Now we're starting to get into more like the functional aspect, the interacting with the patient. Some people like calling them persons or people or practice members, clients, whatever. I call them patients these days. But then you get your hands on them, and they know at that point that you're the one, like, oh my God, he or she feels what's off. I know we talk about in chiropractic, we're trying to uncover and unfold and unpack what's right inside the body. Yes, of course, philosophy 101. But until that person knows that you're the guy or gal to hook them up, then you're not going to have like that ultimate relationship. And then the integration of all of those is, again, a person moving through an exquisite program of care that's based on high level, high precision, highly efficient adjustments and care and service. And that's how you start cracking people open. I mean, you can also have like an incredible educational system with seminars and workshops and lectures, and maybe your social media could do that. Maybe your website can do that. And ultimately, I find that it's you go hear a lecture and it blows you open. But before you can even do that, I feel like your adjustment has to deliver the goods, because if your adjustment's just half-ass or it's weak AF, then do you think that they're going to listen to you and you say, hey, would you mind checking out not the current Joe Rogan episode, but the second most recent episode with, what's his name? Dr. Peter McCullough.
McCullough, yeah.
Yeah. Or check out Dr. Mercola, one of the most, probably should mention him. He's on the list of the dirty dozen, disinformation dozen. But until you actually deliver the goods, I think in a form of an adjustment where a person gets connected to that central line in their spine and into their heart, that you'll be able to transfer different messages of health and healing and wholeness and vibrancy. So for me, it's like the system. And I'm not trying to give like an infomercial for a new online program that I just created this past year. But I mean that these are the questions. How do you catapult people to the highest level of health possible and really create transformative experiences beyond, Bobby slept funny on the couch and he's got a little kink in his neck, to making people change the way that they eat, the way that they move, the way that they think, the way that they love, the way that they connect to others.
That's awesome. I freaking love that. God, can you talk about a little bit more to what you go through in your personal process to get to that phase, to that state before you even lay your hands on people? Because obviously there's a lot of docs and students that listen to this that might be wanting to go to that next level, myself and Dr. Nash, I'm sure included, but wanting to always be at the top of our game so we deliver the goods that we know our people are capable of.
Yeah.
How do you go through that process, whether it's daily or what's that kind of look like for you?
So I hate cold weather, although I'll be heading off to Yosemite for the winter. I don't do cold. I do cold showers. Those cold baths, I got to work up to it. Just, I don't know, something hurts me. So to get my day started, I go the other direction. I have a fire pit. And I jump into the fire, jump out, jump in, jump out. And then, no, I'm just kidding. I don't do any of that.
I was like, wow,
I was ready to do it.
Just kidding. Look, my whole process is I get my my body and my mind and my breath aligned. I have like a whole morning preparation process. If you went to alignconnectenergize.com, I've got a free PDF that shares the whole approach. But in a nutshell, I wake up first thing. It's a whole laundry list of things, from putting on these like acupressure slippers. So I'm already like getting my feet activated. I'm then sucking down some water with maybe some chlorella, some athletic greens, and then like a host of other supplements. My supplement regimen is pretty good. I think I've got the most expensive urine in Los Angeles. Hopefully my body's absorbing it all. I'll have like a morning super cocktail with matcha and mushrooms and the reishi, or actually I do the reishi at night, like the chaga, the lion's mane, the cordyceps, some turkey tail also with some turmeric. I load that sucker up with some collagen and MCT oil. I like drinking that. I like to have a good clear out, and then that means I'm sitting on my squatty potty, shaving my head. Sometimes if everything's so good, I only just shave like this part right here. I got like I shave like a sideburn, and then I'm sitting down in front of a Sri Yantra, which is this incredible sacred geometric pattern that has tremendous reported effects, especially by the Russians. And then I have a red and near infrared light that I use, that I shine on my body. I'm pretty much in my underwear, so I get as much or nude, if you will. So I get a nice full hit of that light. And then after I'm done with that. Then I get into a full yogic practice where I just lubricate every single area in my body, from the jaw to the upper cervical, straight down the spine. I hit the shoulders, the hips. So I'm ready to go. And oftentimes while I'm doing that yoga practice, and by the way, while I'm also doing the Sri Yantra concentration meditation, I'm listening to binaural beats. I use the gamma wave setting for activating higher states of like focus and creativity. And I mean, that's how I kick off my day. I mean, I'm also 48 years old, so I look at it where I got to take care of my body so that it lasts. I had a young dude who came in this morning, a surfer, strapping young lad, 17 years old, already like 6'3", injured his back surfing. And he's like, I just don't want to feel like a 40-year-old. I was like, what are you talking, man? Add a couple more decades, homeboy. I feel good at 48. But so I work it, and I work it. I could also tell you, while I'm doing the Sri Yantra meditation, I'm staring at the dot, I'm focusing. I got a full breath activation protocol too. So yeah, it's just the lifestyle, this is, again, if you don't soak your cells in a state of alignment and breath and vibrancy, then they go a different direction. And then I have a short drive to my center, to my space, and I'll either use that to listen to some cool audio book or like a Joe Rogan podcast. And then it's game on. Hit the life center, sage it up to clear it out, then a little Palo Santo to smooth it out, and then game on. Repeat.
Talk about high vibrancy.
Yeah.
For those not watching on YouTube too, Doc doesn't look a day over freaking 30. So as a 48-year-old, you're
get
crushing it, my man.
Closer to the camera, you'll see some.
Well, a little salt and pepper, but
I got some white on my beard now, a couple strands.
Like that just speaks volumes to, Gates and I were coming up on our second year of practice, and to have somebody that's been doing it to a high level, maybe one of the highest levels like that, and to not get complacent, but to actually go in the opposite direction, that you're humble enough to spend, I'd argue, at very least 2 hours per day getting ready to put yourself in a position to be at a high level, to serve up a very high level product, and also to maintain your utensil, which is your body, right? Because we're all spiritual beings living a human experience. So really, this is just a vessel, but to take care of your vessel while we're here allows us to, what Gates and I talk about, living a 200-year lifestyle. And
I like that.
Not adhering to, cultural or social norms that, obviously everybody talks about living. Oh, I don't know. I hear this a lot, I don't know about you, but people talk about how they don't want to turn 80 years old. They don't want to, that's a long time. It's like, by the time I turn 80, I don't even expect that to be halfway for me, because let's say if we plan to live to 200, we get to 100, that's only halfway. That's still not a bad life. But the human potential has been something that's been suppressed for quite a long time. And we're living in a day of mass information, and we can use that to our advantage to really push that human potential. And I think you're somebody that helped me on one of my very first MLS ones. One of the things I loved was taking the human body through gentle but important and essential ranges of motion from every segment, just to even get that kinesthetic feedback of motion, right? And there's a lot of people who people who are 50 years old who haven't had kinesthetic feedback to a certain location in their body for 30 years,
True.
So that's just something that I, from day one, from when I met you, that was like, this is, not only is this approach different, but this guy is very different. And that's something that I know I could definitely feel that before even really getting to interact with you. And I know that I'm not the only person that's like that, and our patients pick up on that too.
Yeah. Well, to give credit where credit is due, majority of those movements that we did, or the exercises that we did at that MLS1, was designed by Dr. Arnaud Bernier, right? And then I added some of my little yogic lubrication sequences. But, Dr. Arnaud Bernier was one of the very first people, like you could say a pioneer in the chiropractic movement, who really brought he's the OG of the chiropractic training movement, founded in 1983, 1984. MLS was like, there was nothing else like it. Now we live in this universe where how many training programs are there in different organizations? I mean, a lot of them came through his system. So Arnaud was one of those people who really stressed and impressed the importance of preparing your body and approaching chiropractic like you are a chiropractic athlete. Now, for a lot of us, when we're athletes, or we already have that mindset, and then you hear somebody who kind of like formulated it into a chiropractic training program, it made sense. And I don't know, I had a yogic background. I was still pretty new at that point. I think I was like 1999 when I discovered MLS approach. I started doing yoga in like 1994 or 1995. So I'm like been doing yoga for like 28 years right now. So then, like, bam, the whole training concept is critical. Now, if chiropractors who don't perform and train and do drills and, by the way, I think if you do full spine structural adjusting, this is a full contact endeavor. And you do side posture. I think some people are doing side posture way too freaking hard. And, you got to play around with the physics better, but that's another, maybe we'll get to that later on. But if you're doing side posture and you're putting your anatomy, throwing your anatomy into another person's anatomy, let's just be real, you better be able to handle that hit. So bottom line, man, yeah, I enjoyed coming to Palmer and sharing sharing the MLS experience as it spoke to me, and having that opportunity to share one of my most powerful teachers teaching is one of my highlights of my chiropractic career.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I have not had the pleasure of going through MLS yet, but I definitely look forward to it. And I know I've learned a lot from Nash, as he's taught me some things as well. But let's get into some of the side posture stuff, or adjusting in general. Yeah. I think you have a very unique adjusting style from what I've seen. Maybe it's not so unique compared to what you teach at MLS and different things like that. But
I don't teach at MLS anymore, by the way.
Oh,
so
okay.
Last I think the December of 2019 was my last time teaching MLS. Right at the beginning of the pandemic, I decided to go off on my own and teach a different flavor called the Yoga of Chiropractic, where it was just more authentic to me, where these are like more of the style, more of the moves, more of the minutia, a little bit of the variation. So if I'm teaching variations of MLS, then like how true is it to like my side posture setup is completely different from, not completely, it has aspects of an MLS side posture adjustment, but is different. Yeah. But I wanted to create like a different style of adjusting, integrating chiropractic and yoga which is also present in the MLS system, but is different.
And,
Gotcha.
authentically creating something of your own is, in my opinion, how we can elevate.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Sorry to interrupt, Dr. Gates.
Yeah, no, you're good. No, I loved it. The answer was really good. And I mean, can you dive into some of those minute details that you're looking at? And again, this is maybe more seminar worthy, but some of the minute details that you are looking at when addressing someone's system that distinguishes you from, say, a typical chiropractic adjustment that these kids are learning in school.
Yeah. Well, again, a lot of people are training right now. So a lot of people are already doing, whether it's shout out to KTC. I love the explosion in the reach that they've been able to accomplish, whether it's Centropy. I check them out. I've never been to one of their seminars live. I see what they're doing. I like what I see. We've got Dr. Ian Tremaine with upper cervical revolution. Of course, you got Numa. You've got some slightly older stuff with MC2 and their approach, of course, classical BGI or network. For me, my style has always been more in the structural camp. The energetics for me, I feel like it's already built. It's built into the analysis with the hands. Before I started chiropractic school, when I was an undergraduate, my high school chiropractor told me to go to massage school. She goes, "Yo, you're going to chiropractic school. Make your hands educate your hands." So I went to I was choosing either between a shiatsu school or a Swedish style school, and I was like, you know what? Swedish sounds kind of cool. So I ended up doing the Swedish approach. Looking back, I wish I would have done the shiatsu, but it is what it is. So just having the hands become activated, making your hands intelligent, activating the Pacinian corpuscles and the Meissner's corpuscles in your fingers, so that when you're scanning a person and you're reading the tension, it just pops into your hand. So as far as the integration of yoga, the doing the yoga postures where you really get intimately connected with your anatomy, you over time, whether organically or because you study the energetics of the body too, that you end up placing dots in different places of your body and drawing lines that then get activated, that then form more of this grid-like kind of network. So I'm kind of in this dots, lines of energy, grid lines style of analysis. And from there, having this full body awareness, again, the yoga practice informs my body of what it's like to be fully interconnected. And then as I'm moving with another person, it's like your partnered yoga experience is ultimately what a chiropractic adjustment is, that you learn how to dance better with the person. So I again, going back to the original, what do? You got to get yourself right. If you're dialed in, if you're right, if you're fully connected, if you've got activated lines of energy in your body, and then you interface with another person, it should be easier to see where they're distorted, disconnected. And then the next step is, do you have the physical skills to move that 2-ounce bone and with 0.3 second thrust force skillfully, effectively, in an appropriate speed, with an appropriate depth, without violating their anatomy.
There it is.
Yeah, we finally got there.
I love it. That fires me up, Doc. I freaking love it.
So we usually have a segment somewhere in the podcast where we like to ask our guests a little bit about, we kind of have 3 pillars of the Good Fighters podcast, being connection, intention, and purpose. And we always like to get a little bit of feedback on how those words land with you, and how those words might apply to your life and maybe your practice a little bit more.
Fantastic. Oh, that was like that was the question.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was like, yeah, that sounds good.
Fantastic is short and sweet. I love that too.
Yeah. All right, say that again. Maybe that was my autism kicking in, and I just got captivated by what you're saying.
No, it's fine. Connection, intention, and purpose.
Yep.
Those are the three pillars of the Good Fighters podcast.
Yes.
And just wanted to hear on how those words hit home for you.
Yeah. Okay. Now I heard the intention. No disrespect to anybody who's has struggling with anywhere on the spectrum. I definitely do have components of it, I think. All right. So connection, intention, and objective.
Purpose.
That too. Connection, intention, and purpose. Without the ability to connect, without the ability to be compassionate and empathetic with a person, we've got trouble. So connection, intention, and purpose. The intention, what is your laying goal and objective? That's paramount. You know what I'm saying? And I think that it's important to have the highest intention, because if you just have like a low grade intention, then look, you got to hold it high for the people. Like if your goal is, I just want to get people out of pain, and if then that's the space, that's the level that you're holding. But if your intention is to transform this person's consciousness, and by the way, ultimately to have a self-actualizing, self-awakening kind of Yogananda style experience where you make like this incredible energetic descent, or rather you can go ascent first from the lower terrain of your energetic system, like chakras, if you want to go there, but it's more chakra, let's just say consciousness, going from a lower consciousness state to a higher activated state where you're now more quote unquote one with the flow of the universe. And then from there, maybe settling back down into the center of your body, right into your heart, where all the great mystical traditions say, that's a good spot to be in, whether it's Kabbalist. I study Kabbalah. I've even studied at a local university for 2 years, University of Judaism, now called American Jewish University. But I studied with one of my favorite rabbis for 2 years. But you get right into the Tiferet chakra, into the heart zone, or the Anahata chakra. So like the heart, man, the heart, which they say has the strongest electromagnetic field. So now it's like you're talking about the connection, being able to feel and receive a person, intention, what is the goal, and now we're talking about the next step, which is the vision, right? Purpose. Connection, intention, and purpose. So I think the purpose might actually be more for the. My mic just slipped out for a second. The purpose is actually personal, and I think that every soul has its own purpose. And when you're aligned with your life's work and your job and your purpose, then you're dialed in. And we also know that what happens when you're just not aligned, whether it's in a relationship or a career or or with anything, it's just rough, it's bumpy, it's grindy, you're hitting roadblocks. It's like, why are all of these obstacles happening? It's because you're not in flow with your purpose. So that's kind of like what we do as chiropractic. Most people, not all people, most people discovered chiropractic, and it almost became like this calling. Unless you come from like Canadian Memorial College or LAC. No, cancel that. Most people, and then some of the schools screw you up. They'll either screw you up royally, or they screw you up a little bit, but you've been dipped in some of the philosophy, some of the green books, some of the beautiful philosophy, science, and art that chiropractic has to offer, and then you become this, like it's a calling, it's a passion, it's a purpose. It's you become obsessed. There's no turning back. It's like you're not like a chiropractor, like you're a postdoc, like a postman probably just goes home at the end of the day. When you're a chiropractor, you live, breathe, and eat this. It's a 24/7.
I think that's beautifully said. I think it's beautifully said. And to kind of hit on a little bit, because we've had a lot of topics on this show, and one of those being schooling systems, right? And you kind of mentioned that they can either royally screw you up or just subtly screw you up enough. And I think luckily enough for Dr. Gates and I, we were more the latter than the former.
Yeah.
And to some extent, I like to view it as optimistic that there is an extent that if I didn't understand it to the point that school was screwing me up to a certain amount, that I might have sought out or had the open-mindedness to try to seek for something more in chiropractic. And I also had an understanding that it was a lot deeper than what I was already getting into at school, but that almost pushed me harder, or gave me a harder, I was pulled more than anything to look for that something more. And that's just kind of what I was, thinking about as you were going through that. But yeah. I love that.
Cool. Yeah, I think the schools have their hands tied by the Council of Chiropractic Education, the CCE, and whatever, like the other different boards, requiring a certain curriculum that we have to study. Maybe it's you've got some moles in there, some rats in there who are single-handedly trying to dissolve chiropractic from its unique place in the healing arts universe, which medicine has its place. Thank God for medical doctors and medicine and ER docs and surgeons and nurses and the whole allopathic universe. I feel like there's the allopathic universe. We don't need to turn chiropractic into another one of those allopathic professions, because they already exist.
Right. The source is being diluted to some extent.
Correct. Yeah.
And with the, you mentioned thanking God for those allopathic universes. And I think that's a humbling point that's kind of being driven out of not just chiropractors, but society overall, is that humility to really give thanks to God for just about anything we have in our lives, right? In our lives. But more specifically, when it comes to the human body and being, having the power of life, with medicine, with surgeries, yes, those are interventions, but those interventions aren't doing a damn thing on a dead body, right? So you really still 100% got to give it up to God for giving you the potential to actually use those tools when you need them truly, in whatever emergency state that you're in, to have that ability to make those changes, to keep on living and surviving. So one thing that, Gates, I don't want to keep on rolling. Do you have anything for Dr. Jeremy? I kind of want to lead into kind of our question. Okay.
I'm ready for it.
Okay. So another segment that we always like to ask about is, we did get a little taste of what your past and your upbringing to get you where you're at now. But what do you see for yourself in the years to come, Dr. Jeremy? What's the future look like for the Spinechecker? What's the future look like for the Yoga of Chiropractic? Maybe you'd lead us down that path for what you foresee for yourself.
Yeah. Personally and professionally, I'll go personally first. I want to be there 1000% for my son and make sure that my son is growing up. Again, 2 years old. We haven't cloaked him in fear, right? He's never worn a mask. Kind of like changed our vacation plans this year. I can't put him on an airplane because now he's at 2. So right now in the short term, here in Los Angeles, I'm not planning my escape route to Texas or Arizona or Florida or Idaho.
Montana.
Yeah, Montana's nice, but again, like it gets really cold. I got trouble when it drops below 60 degrees. That's why I grew this beard out, because it's dripping into the 40s here.
Right.
But look, short term, we got to see how things play out here in Los Angeles. I hope I don't have to leave California. I know a lot of my friends have bolted, so I'm very much focused right now on the now. And that being said, I'm not going to be caught off guard. I do have my plan A, and my plan A is we're staying put, and we're going to fight those people and resist. And but part B, we'll be ready for it. But yeah, I want to take care of my family first and foremost. Professionally, this has been just like many other chiropractors around the United States, best year ever in practice. I've only had one slightly down year. That was like the 2013 year, following a massive turbulent end in a relationship. There's cancer. There's a lot of funky stuff going on that year. But every year in practice over the last 21 years has gone like this, right? So we had another kick-ass year. Business as usual. And as far as like the seminar goes, yeah, I taught 10 seminars in 12 months. And what I started finding, as I'll say, it was a little bit easier in the beginning when my son was just a little cute ball of love. But then as he started getting a little bit bigger, man, it was hard. It was hard to leave for a 3-day weekend, and or in some situations, if you had to go to Davenport, getting to Davenport is no slam dunk. You gotta weave your way there.
Yeah. No, there's no like major airport in Davenport. No. Even to Moline, it's like that's a half hour.
Yeah. I kept trying to move him. Like, what do you think? Can we do Chicago? And there's like, yeah. I go, I'll get a bus. We'll send a bus. You guys can sleep on a bus for 3 days. How's that sound? Good. No biters. But look, I've got a couple seminars coming up in 2022. We've got Dallas on the books in March, and there's another one in Kansas City in May. I got to just upload that to the website. But yeah, I took a little bit of a step back, just because I'll be honest, man, I love chiropractic. And I love this profession. I love teaching. I like getting down and dirty into the technique. Some people don't like calling it technique. It can only be called art. I love the technique. I love the art, whatever you want to, the style, the methodology approach. But I love my family more. And at the end of the day, I gotta roll with my family. But I also don't feel like there's this incredible void. Like if this was a passion project. I saw some areas, when after teaching MLS for a long, 4 years, something like that, 5 years, I found that there were some people where I felt so good at the end of the seminar. There's like a chunk of people who are kind of like leaving the seminar going like, all right, I still just don't understand this. and it bothered me. So I wanted to create a seminar where at the end of the seminar, everybody on board. I know it's technical, it's cerebral, it's adaptive, it's friggin' hardcore. There's a lot more steps to it than just lay on your side kind of a thing. Like, it's broken down. You got to be ready. You got to be ready to receive it. I love it, but I'm scaling it back in terms of the intensity. It takes a hit from the family, it takes a hit from the practice, and but the profession's not like hurting because the yoga of chiropractic is not there. There's other seminars right now that also provide tremendous foundation. So I'm just adding more flavor. I'm just there's vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. So I'm adding maybe a coconut swirl or something. I don't know.
Whatever you guys
Whatever you call it.
in LA, I'm not sure what
Coconut cream, yeah.
Okay.
It's organic. There's no sugar. Naturally sweetened.
All the goods.
All the goods.
The people want to know, when are we getting volume 2?
Oh man, yeah. Look at that.
Look at this guy.
Volume 2 is, man, it keeps growing and growing and growing and growing. So volume 2 is like almost ready to get dropped.
Let's go.
And then I kept getting people asking me about how I incorporate chiropractic and yoga in my practice, and how do I do this and that. And then I have a mentorship program, and I figured, you know what, I can do the mentorship and then just have like one-on-ones, or I can put something out that's answering a lot of the questions that young docs have, or people that are just about to graduate from chiropractic school, and they want to start their own business, kind of exactly like the conversation that we're having, like, where should my headspace be? What should I be thinking about? I go, all right, well, you want to build a practice? Let me tell you exactly how I would formulate a practice. And it's called the system. So I created a system that ultimately took the place of the Spinecheckers Manifesto Volume 2. But let me tell you, the Spinecheckers Manifesto Volume 2 is called the Yoga of Chiropractic. And it's going to be, whereas the Volume 1 is for all humans, this one's going to be for humans who practice chiropractic. So this is going to be like almost the manual, the technique manual, covering a lot of the stuff, again, that you would get in a seminar. Because at the end of the day, not everybody from people want me to come to Chile and Argentina and Brazil. All right, well, here's the program, the adjusting program, all concepts, psychology, philosophy, the metaphysics that goes into a seminar. But I can even go deeper. I can go more, because seminar, you're limited by 2.5 days. The book's going to be on steroids. It's going to be a 10 weeks worth of material. I just can't help it. And I'm not going to release. It could be a volume 2, and then I could be like, all right, here's the part, volume 3. But I want volume 2 to just knock people out.
Big punch.
So it's coming. It's in the works.
Just one thing, Gates. I don't want to keep just absolutely bulldozing my way through questions here.
Oh, I love it.
I do gotta say, so I do gotta say that the Spinecheckers Manifesto is one of my favorite things about it is, like you said, it's for the people. And as practicing chiropractors, we oftentimes, or if you're lucky enough, oftentimes have people who are interested in actually pursuing chiropractic as a actual profession. And this has been one of my favorite introductory books to hand out, because it does such a beautiful job bringing together so many. I mean, it's whole encompassing the profession and the scope of chiropractic in a way that a lot of people can really grasp without getting too I guess deep as much as like a green book might go. The first book I had was Life Without Fear by Fred Barge, and that was given to me before I started chiropractic school. And I gotta say that is still up there with probably one of my favorite books of all time. But this one, I've had not just I've got 2 copies, and I like to share them both, and I've had them get shared and then shared to other people who are also interested, because I live in a town with the university. And I just want to say thank you for providing a book for the people, because I know it's chiropractic's bigger than just chiropractors. It's for the people. I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, pleasure. You know, originally back in the day, back in 1996, there's a few of those chapters in that book that were written during like my last year in chiropractic school, or actually I should say more like 1990, 1998, 99.
The Philosophy Award.
2000. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can see, I was the first,
I see it.
I was the first ever Palmer West recipient of the Virgil Strang Award, which was fantastic. And but yeah, like some of those essays were coming out. Like, what did I want? What were like the entry level conversations I wanted for people to know about chiropractic? I wanted them to understand the relationship between the spine, and then the spine, and then the nervous system, and then the integration of the spine and the nervous system as the neurospinal system. And you know, now what we know about the neurospinal system, it's a super system. So that stuff will be in the volume 2. And then I wanted people to have an understanding of life force, so spine, nervous system, life force. Those are like my big 3. And then from there, it was an adjustment. So now we're at 4. And then the integration of yoga with a specific scientific chiropractic adjustment. And that was it, 5. And now then from there, you start building out like a new educational system. What else do you want people to understand? You want to understand maybe like epigenetics. What else do you want to understand? How about like circadian rhythms? How a body moves through space. Okay, well, what happens then when a person gets injured? All right, now we can talk about repair and remodeling, and you know, now we're into the cellular universe, so it can like zoom in and zoom out, cellular level, global physiology, and then you approach it functionally, structurally, neurologically, energetically, in an integrative manner. And then the book kind of like started from spine, nervous system, life force, adjustment plus yoga, and then boom, 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 boom. And yeah, just it's an easy read, you know, with the pictures in it. You got 17 pages in that book. It's a big, 8x11. So if it was more small, like a handheld book, it would feel thicker. But it's like a graphics novel. I wanted to feel like a comic book, like a graphics novel.
Yeah, it appeals to
like comic books.
Yeah, it appeals to a lot of different types of learners. I think that's another huge strength of your book compared to most chiropractic philosophy books. It has very good visual imagery, and
cool.
Yeah. So Gates, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off again.
No, dude, you did not. I'm just here for observation. I did have a really quick question for you, because I'm very interested, especially given your Jewish background, in the concept of life force. One thing that I've been really diving into is the concept that I love the integration of chiropractic into my life has been the life force and the breath of God and humans being created. I would love for you to touch on that, if you see that as one and the same, or if you would go about where life force comes from.
Yeah. Okay. How much time do we have left? And this is actually one of the chapters that will be in the new book, kind of like talking about, it will get into like sacred geometry, and pretty much going from like nothingness into everything. And I'll just say that this whole process of going from like the nothingness into a contraction, which into like a dot, which then has like that explosion effect, if you will. The way that I see it, where you do go from nothingness, and then you get the dot, and then you actually have like the expansion, where now we start going from the dot into the vesica Pisces, and then that multiplication of circles turns into, the seed of life. And then if you keep growing, then it's the flower of life. And then from the flower of life, then you start getting other aspects. The tree of life is in there. Now, from those aspects, then you start getting into, my mic just got lost. We're back. So from there, you start experiencing, my mic's going out.
You're good.
From there, you start going into the different elements. And if we're dealing more in like the Ayurvedic East Indian, earth, water, wind, fire, ether. So everything's kind of like coming out of the ether. And through the way that these cells or circles, if you will, are vibrating, you'll get a different energetic constitution: the earth, the water, the fire, or the wind. Now, from there, as we continue to create more replications, now we leave kind of like this abstract energetic realm, and now we're into more of like the Western periodic table, if you will, like with the known elements. So we've got the known elements on one side, and then you have like more of these abstract elements. And if you're playing with traditional Chinese medicine, that's slightly different with the earth, the water, the metal, the wood, and the fire, right? But at some point, that's why they work with that system. They're playing with the subtler elements, and we're playing with the more macro elements. Now, at some point, there's this force that needs to activate. Now we're dealing with like a live human being, ultimately, to activate this force. That's this like mysterious. That's the mystery of life, and that's where once you start the intelligence is already there. The intelligence is, in my opinion, is there in the corpse. It's holding everything there in like this suspended, inanimate state. But once the life force strikes the intelligence, activates the intelligence, then we see life. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. But the life force is what activates the intelligence, and the life force flows through the nervous system, through the wires, okay, and then and animates life. Now we're talking electricity, and now we're talking about wires. So is this a video or is this just audio? Just if I'm making,
we'll have YouTube for this, so we'll have video too.
Okay, cool. So the way I even like view the nervous system, if we're just talking about an energy system, where on the nervous system that we know, where when you do a dissection and you see, let's say, the little yellow nerve, right? Spinal cord, spinal nerve, and then as you start moving in the other direction back towards where like the elements are, to where traditional Chinese medicine and the yogis hang out with their nadis and their chakras. Now those energy channels become more subtle. They become more fine, not as obvious to see with the naked eye, but they're still very much a part of the energetic system. It's just subtler. It's just like some people would blow off the earth, the water, the fire, and the wind. But when you start dealing with nadis and meridians and or chakras, you're hanging out on that end of the spectrum. Now the integrating factor, the integrating mediary between like this more dense physical being and more of like the energetic being, well, I think the chakras are like the intermediary. But then again, what activates everything? It's that prana, it's that chi, it's that life force. And as far as like the breath of God, I mean, that's like I want to say that might be called the ruach, where God breathed into Adam and game on. So, but look, it's a mystery. I think at some point you probably, if you want to get like deeper answers, maybe you have to have like a near death experience, or you do different type of entheogenic substances that gives you a little bit more of a glimpse into more of this abstract universe, which seeker beware. But you'll gather, you can hang out in deep states of meditation for long periods at a time to get there. You might have some type of incredible traumatizing experience, or a beautiful experience that just gives you this new awareness for life. But I watched my grandmother pass away a couple months ago, 99 years old. I wasn't allowed into the facility where she was at, again, for obvious reasons. Last time I saw her, they made me stand like 25 feet away with the shield over my face and a mask on with gloves on. And, she couldn't see me. She was on her way out. But I called my dad last day, last hour that she was alive. It was so beautiful. They set up the phone, FaceTime. I basically was watching her face, and, she was transitioning. It's like eyes kind of like almost going in the back of the head, just deep breathing. And then it just slowly stopped. It just slowly stopped. And she passed. I mean, she's surrounded by my dad and my cousins and grandchildren and great grandchildren were all right by her side. She was about like 2.5 hours away when we got the call, like, yo, it's going down. But I was so at peace I was still hoping she'd make it to 100. But I was just so at peace with just watching her. She breathed it out, like she breathed her last breath out. And I was like, wow, that was so amazing. And my little sister, she's been at 4, all 4 of my grandparents passing. Like, she's like the little gatekeeper. But she's been there when they've taken their last breath, and then that's it, man. That's it. So it's a beautiful thing. So if we go spine, nervous system, life force, well, what's again the system that connects it all? It's that nervous system, but it's the neurospinal system. It's this neurospinal life force, energetic system.
Neuroimmune system, neuromuscular system.
All of the systems, yeah. And I think it's just a matter of time too, where again we start looking at this neurospinal system, but it's going to be like a neurospinal prana, chi, ruach system and approach, because like, man, there's just a lot of sick people out there, and I know Bill Gates probably wouldn't want people to actually like live longer and be healthier, but that's our job, that's our purpose, right. That's our objective.
And to kind of circle back around to earlier, this is really what we mentioned before, that this is what chiropractic's one of its main purposes from inception has been, that we are here for this day and age for something like this, because there is a calling and a craving for people that want more out of not just life, but their experience while they're here before they make that grand transition. And without chiropractic, without the that change in perception of the nervous system, which is inherently changing how we just view the world,
Yeah.
We can't have that evolution in general to move forward as a species and as life, right? Because it's not just human beings, right? It's all life. So beautiful, Doc. Gates, I don't know if you have anything else, but I was just going to wrap it up by getting Doc's socials, how can people get in contact with you, things of that sort.
Yeah. Spinechecker on Instagram. I've got Spinechecker University which is the hub for all of like the online offerings. Spinechecker.com if you want to come check out the practice. I'm the Spinechecker on Twitter. I don't use it that much. Somebody got in there early and got Spinechecker. But yeah, man, check out Spinechecker and the Yoga of Chiropractic too. We're on Instagram, and if you want to learn a new style, a new angle, a new aspect of adjusting, I'd love to have you come train with me.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on today, Doc. We really appreciate it. And just everybody out there, take a bunch of notes and attend everything you can by this man.
No, thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you. We need more people like you, Doc, obviously. But you're leading the way for a lot of us that are following a path that you've trailblazed. And without you, us moving forward for our communities and our families wouldn't be possible. So thank you for that as well.
Yeah, pleasure. And shout out to the both of you, gentlemen, for rocking out and being another voice for chiropractic and all of the new emerging docs out there, new docs and old docs. So bravo, hats off to you both.
Appreciate it. You know how to find us, Good Fighters, at the_good_fight_ers. You know how to find me at DC_Nash_T and at Gates Mayor_DC.
Nailed it.
Cool, right on. Rock on, y'all. Keep fighting that good fight. If y'all are putting some rounds in, let us know either in our comments or tag us in some posts on Instagram. We'd love to hear about them.
Absolutely.